All right, for more on this, we're now joined by Na'eem Jeenah of the Afro-Middle East Centre. Very good evening to you, Mr. Jeenah. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the late edition. First of all, Israel has targeted Syria's defense ministry and areas near the presidential palace, framing the strikes as protection for the Druze minority. Just how significant is this escalation in the context of Israel's long-standing military strategy in Syria?
It's very significant. I mean, this is, as the Secretary General's spokesperson announced, it's a violation of Syria's independence, a violation of Syria's sovereignty. Israel has no obligation. The kind of thing that Netanyahu is talking about is absolute rubbish. I mean, you don't have any obligation to go into a neighboring country and to get involved in a war that's taking place there. Now, clearly, there is instability in Syria. I mean, it's 15 years of a civil war in that country, but that doesn't give Israel any of the kind of rights that it claims for itself. So, Israel at the moment is occupying hundreds of kilometers of Syrian land, has depopulated hundreds of families from that area so that it can establish its military presence, and of course is in illegal occupation of the Golan Heights for the past 50 years, which belongs to Syria. Now they're bombing the capital, Damascus. These are not just war crimes, but they a threat to regional security.
And could you perhaps explain the strategic importance of the Druze community in southern Syria and why Israel sees them as warranting direct military intervention?
No, this has nothing to do with the Druze community. Israel's attack has nothing to do with the Druze community. The Druze community is one of many communities in Syria. They, like many other groups, during the course of the civil war of the past 15 years, and the attempt to fight against the Bashar al-Assad regime, Druze communities had also formed militias. They were in fact one of the first militias on the 6th of December to enter Damascus, even before the HTS did. What took place over the past couple of days, clearly some sectarian issues. It's unclear exactly what. As you said in your introduction, Bedouin groups against some Druze communities, etc. The army came in to try and restore peace, but got involved in the middle of all of that. Not all of the Druze, in fact, many of the Druze in Suwaida, in the southern part of Syria, don't want Israel to be involved at all. There's one faction that is supportive of Israel, but that means nothing. Israel has no love for the Druze. I mean, there are Druze in Lebanon that get bombed by Israel. There are Druze in Israel itself who are Palestinians and get the same treatment as other Palestinians do, except that they get conscripted into the army, which other Palestinians don't. So there's no love for the Druze here. The issue here is, number one, that there's a new Syrian government, and the Israelis are unhappy that the new Syrian government is not normalizing relations with them as they would like, that the new Syrian government has made a deal, has normalized relations with the United States, but not with Israel, number one. Number two, that today was Ariel Sharon's trial. He went to court this morning, and then they started attacking Syria, and the case was postponed. So there's also a personal objective involved here. And thirdly, very importantly, is that Israel has always wanted, whether this government or the Assad government before that, Israel has always wanted a Syria that remains unstable, where there is continued fighting between different groups within Syria so that it can maintain its dominance in the region. And that's what it is provoking in the south.
No, Mr. Jeenah, I'm quite keen to understand how these attacks might affect the fragile security dynamics within Syria, particularly in Suwaida, where violence recently erupted between the Druze forces and Bedouin tribes. I mean, I'm asking this in the context of concerns whether Israel's intervention is purely about protecting the Druze, or are there any other deeper geopolitical calculations at play here?
So as I said, it's not really about the Druze. I mean, before Israel started its attack, before it bombed Damascus, there was a ceasefire. Hours before, there was a ceasefire that was reached. So how does Israel's attack assist with peace when there's a ceasefire and you violate that ceasefire, not violate the ceasefire, Israel wasn't involved. You bomb the capital so that the ceasefire is undermined and compromised, and your proxy group that you have there is able to take the space and create a civil war situation. That's what they're doing. This is not about the safety of the Druze people. This is about making sure that Syria becomes and remains unstable for the foreseeable future.
And I see the United States has reportedly urged Israel to halt these strikes, labeling the situation as worrisome. But how would you then interpret the United States position? Is it a genuine restraint call or perhaps a strategic signaling?
I think that the United States is upset, firstly, that they were not consulted on this. Secondly, that this seems to be a slap in the face for the US President Trump, who just a couple of days ago lifted the terrorism label of HTS, the group that the Syrian president belongs to, and has normalized relations with Syria. So for the Trump administration, Israel is seeming to take a step too far by, well, basically insulting or humiliating the Trump administration, undermining deals that it is making, and so they're quite unhappy about that. Whether they will do anything more than saying that it's worrisome, we wait to see, because it's not a very predictable administration. But clearly there's a sense in the Trump administration, particularly among the so-called America Firsters, that Israel repeatedly gets the United States into trouble that they don't need, and that they need to focus on protecting the United States and not protecting Israel. How that plays out, as I say, we'll see over the next couple of days.
And we are still yet to see whether these attacks will impact the Israeli-Syrian relations in the days to come. Great chatting to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.